And good afternoon. My name is Ryan Belmore. I am the owner and publisher of What's Up Noop. It is Tuesday, July 25th, just after 2 p.m. And Frank Prosnich joins me as he often does. Frank, how are you?
Well, my Baltimore Orioles are doing quite well, so
That is one good thing happening. I'll tell you what. Another good thing happening is this week we are continuing our conversations with the candidates. We kicked it off last Thursday. And we are bringing you conversations off the top of my head with another 5 or 6 this week, and it continues next week. I'm not going to run down the full schedule here on a video because then I'm tied to it. And as candidates' campaigns work out their own schedules, sometimes the interviews get moved around. But if you visit whatsupnoop.com, you can get a full schedule of events of when we're chatting with the candidate. If you see a candidate that we're not chatting with, we've invited them. So reach out to them if you're a supporter or let them know that we're here. If you'd like to go back and watch any of these interviews, particularly the one you're going to watch today, or listen to it, all available on whatsupnoop.com. Frank, any other housekeeping?
Oh, no, not really. I know last night there was a forum in Barrington, and all but 2 of the Democratic candidates showed up. Waters and Casey were the 2 that did not show up to that. Everybody else was there, and I'm told that it was a pretty productive forum.
Excellent. And maybe we'll get a firsthand report from it as Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos joins us today. Lieutenant Governor, how are you today?
Really good. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Ryan and Frank. I'm so glad to be here with you.
Let's start on Frank's point there. How was the forum last night? How was it to get together with 10 of your fellow Democratic opponents?
With 10 of my closest friends for the summer.
Overall, how did you think it went?
It went really well. I think it was really well. We had an opportunity to introduce ourselves and also to speak to those present in the audience and the ones watching online, letting them know why we believe each one of us makes the best candidate for this race on CV1.
And maybe that's where we should start. What makes you the best candidate for this position?
Well, being someone that has been in elected office for more than 20 years, that has been already, first of all, at the local level, as the president of the Providence City Council, and now as lieutenant governor for the past 2 years, I think I have the experience and the life experience, plus the experience in local government and state government that puts me in the right place to be ready to serve the people of Rhode Island in Congress from day one. The things that I have been working for since I have been elected at the local government and state government are the same things I'm going to be fighting for in DC. As you know, I have been a big supporter and proponent of housing, and I think we have to make sure that more resources are coming from Washington to the local government, especially the local level, because we're the first one that see the needs in the community. I'm going to be a strong voice for making sure that we pass gun-safe legislation that protects our children. I want to make sure that when my kids go to school, I don't have to worry that today is going to be the day when someone's going to call me and tell me that something happened. And one issue that is very important to me also is being a strong voice to be someone defending a woman's right to choose. I want to make sure that my daughter doesn't have less rights than I did. And that is one of the reasons that I want to go to Congress, also to fight very strongly to make sure that women's right to choose are respected.
Sabina, I wonder, it has been 2 years since you became lieutenant governor. And I remember when we talked to you when you were running for it, had all of these plans and goals that you wanted to accomplish as lieutenant governor. I wonder when the decision, what point did it come to Rhode Island is best served? I'm putting this in your mouth for 1 second. Rhode Island is best served with me as their congressperson instead of me as their lieutenant governor.
Yeah, so last year, as we know, we have no idea that Congressman Cicilline was planning on leaving us, right? I always say when people ask me, why so many candidates? Like, okay, I adore Congressman Cicilline, but I'm going to blame him because he the one decided to leave us. But honestly, when I look at the opportunity of going to Congress and being a strong voice for Rhode Island in the different areas that I've been advocating for and working for at the local level for so many years, I thought, and I didn't say right away I was running. I took my time to think about it. I thought about how I can have the biggest impact for the people of Rhode Island and the biggest impact right now. And I believe that in Congress, especially with everything that's going on nationally, I can have the biggest impact if I go to Congress.
What is it, if you look at yourself and the other Democratic candidates for now, what sets you apart other than your experience?
Mhm.
What sets you apart? Because there are other candidates who are running who also have political experience. What makes you the best choice?
So I think the way how I have conducted myself in politics and getting things done, being able, especially right now in Washington, there's so much division. There's so many people fighting in their own corners and just going to the extreme in both sides. And I believe that right now our nation needs people in Congress that are willing to work in collaboration and they're willing to get things done and working across the aisle when necessary to make sure that we deliver for the people of Rhode Island and for the people of the United States. I believe that my nature of being a collaborator and working in collaboration with others, getting things done, doing the work that people are not seeing, but to make sure that we move the agenda forward. That's what we need right now in Washington, and that sets me apart from my colleagues.
So, Governor, I want to just touch on the week that was last week, and we're not going to spend, Frank and I aren't going to spend a lot of time on this because it is an active investigation from all different points of view. But what I want to know is, as a Rhode Island voter, why should I believe that this is under control, that that you deserve to be on the ballot, that them continuing to support you between now and September, now in November, that it's okay thing to do. Comfort me as a Rhode Island voter that
Yes.
Please.
Yeah. That is fair. That is a fair question. I have to say that I feel really bad for everything that happened, especially because that was done using my name and my campaign name. But what I can tell the Rhode Island voters is that you know me. You have seen my work for over 12 years in elected office. I've been holding myself to the highest levels of ethics. I'm making sure that everything that I do, the way my guiding principle in politics has been to make sure that my family, my parents are not going to feel ashamed of what I have done, and that my children are not going to pay for anything that I have done. So I give the voters of Rhode Island that assurance that it's one of the things that hurts me the most about what happens is two things that unfortunately have come in with that. Is one, that people may lose faith in our democratic system and think that they shouldn't trust the process. But equally troubling is those individuals that reach out to me, people that know me for a long time, that have reached out to me to pledge their support, to let me know that they believe in me and they know that that description is not who I am. But at the same time, has been asking me a questioning, why are you in politics? Like, keep saying like these are the reasons why I don't want to be in politics. So those are the worst parts of all this process, is the mistrust that it may have created. Once on the faith in our political system, and also we need people to be willing to run for office and to get involved in things like this, or just make people to get turned off from politics.
I guess I have a follow-up. I have a comment and then a question.
Yeah.
In terms of people questioning the system. In fact, I think this was a demonstration that the system works, and that in fact these irregularities were found by the local boards of canvassers.
Yeah.
My question to you is, beyond what's going on in terms of any investigations, what have you done or will you do internally to assure that there are no other questions relative to your campaign?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I have to tell you, as I said before, what happened, I think it has been a learning experience, not just for my campaign, but for every campaign. Campaigns going on right now and campaigns for the future also, about just making sure that it's like trust but verify, right? And that's the way how we're moving forward. Is we cannot live our life not trusting that the work is getting done, but now it's like trust but verify. I think that's the lesson I have learned.
And I just want to make clear on my question and my preempt on this that there is no doubt that you are on the ballot. You, even with those in question, you had enough signatures. The local boards of electors, electors, as well as the state, have said you're on the ballot. So I just want to put that out there that you are on the ballot, and be fair about that. Do you think something, whether you are continue on as our lieutenant governor or become the next congressperson for District 1, do you think there needs to be changes to the process or the system, some call it archaic, of how this all happens with the 500 signatures? Do you think there's an opportunity here so you're the last person that gets tripped up on this?
So I, as I said before, what I have learned from this process is trust but verify. I believe every state has its own process. I have spoken with Congress members, believe it or not, like from California, they only require 50 signatures in order to be on the ballot. This is the system that we have in Rhode Island that requires 500 signatures to be on the ballot for Congress. It is not something that cannot be done. Like I turn in 1,300 signatures total. It's part of the process. It's happened every year. Some signatures get counted, others not. And that's why we always submit more than what is required.
Can I just want to clarify, you said you turned in 1,300 signatures?
About 1,300 signatures total, yeah.
And the Secretary of State's office, and I guess after these are vetted through the Board of Canvassers, they certified 728 of those.
Correct, yeah.
So that means that, if my math is correct, almost 600 signatures were disqualified?
Yeah, but this is happens to every campaign. If you take a look at every campaign, we all do this. We submit extra signatures just to make sure, just in case, to make sure that we have enough signatures there.
Speaking of connecting with voters, besides going and getting these signatures, how are you getting out there and connecting with voters and letting them know about your campaign and asking them to vote for you?
Yeah, I have been very active. I love having those opportunities to connect with the voters and to be present with them. And also, just for the nature of my job, I tend to be at many public events, public forums that allow me the opportunity to interact with the voters. I should give you an example for this, just this weekend, right? On Sunday, I was at the St. Mary Fest in Cranston, right? Get to celebrate the Italian culture of the state of Rhode Island. Then after that, I went to the church of Xavier Church in East Providence, get to celebrate with the Portuguese community of Rhode Island. And then after that, I went to worship with a Nigerian church community in Providence. So I'm continue to be present and active in connecting with Rhode Islanders.
You mentioned 3 priorities before: housing, gun safety, and a woman's right to choose. Give me your top 5 and how you think you'll be able to accomplish things within Congress to
Mhm.
move those forward?
Yeah. So a woman's right to choose gun safety legislation that protect our children's, protecting our democracy, because as I mentioned to you when I participated of this program last year, my story, I don't think it could happen in another country. It happens in America, and it's thanks to the democracy that we have here. And I want to make sure that we protect that. I want to make sure that we do reform of the ethics of the Supreme Court. I'm in support of Senator Whitehouse legislation to make sure that there is ethics reform for the members of the Supreme Court. So these are part of the things that I have been fighting and working for years. And then housing, which has always been part of the work that I do.
I want to follow up on the Supreme Court for a moment and tie it also to Congress. Do you believe in term limits?
So I'm open to the discussion on term limits, but as someone that was a member of the Providence City Council when we implemented term limits, I can tell you by the experience that we went through, that term limits have to be done the right way. One of the challenges that I had the most concern with the term limit implementation in the Providence City Council is that we were at risk of last year with election of having the majority of the members of the city council being new members all at once. And we just elected a new mayor in Providence. So imagine what could happen if we had everyone new at the same time. That's kind of the concern that I have. I'm open to the discussion of term limits in Congress, but we have to have a really serious conversation about, okay, let's just talk about Rhode Island. We have 2 members of Congress in the House. Are we going to have the term limit at the same time, or we're going to make sure that we have one every 10 years? So we continue to have that seniority, which is so important in Washington in order to accomplish anything for your state. So if we have a really good way to how implementing term limits, I'm open to the term limit.
How about Supreme Court?
For the Supreme Court, I think right now the most important thing is ethics reform for the Supreme Court. That's my priority right now. Term limits is something I have not contemplated right now for this Supreme Court, but ethics reform, I believe, is very important.
Sabina, last year when we spoke, one of your priorities was high-speed internet for Rhode
Yes.
Island. Before you possibly leave, can you get that done before people of Rhode Island?
Actually, before the end of the day.
Or before the end of the day?
For the end of the day, actually, we're making a lot of progress. And Secretary Raimondo actually was in Newport together with the mayor and the governor and the senators talking about the access to internet, which is a priority for the administration, a priority for President Biden. I think we're making progress. The Rhode Island, actually, we're going to have the enough resources to implement it here. So we're making progress. So this work is still to do, but we're really making progress.
When people look at the 12 of you, and they're going to make a decision, they have to decide which box they're going to check. Give me if you could put one line or one fortune cookie little note in everybody's pocket in Rhode Island. What do you want them to know about you, and why should they consider you when they're giving their valuable vote?
So there's some first of all, they have to look at their values. Does the candidates that are running match their values when it comes to what they believe is important to them? Is the candidates going to have the needs of Rhode Island as their priority, or it's going to be just a particular political agenda that they want to put their energy on? So I will say those are the things that they should look at. Also, I will ask the people of Rhode Island to look at what is missing right now in our federal delegation and representation in Washington, and see if just take into account that this is a great opportunity that we have that probably we're not going to see again in another 10, 20 years, to the opportunity to diversify our federal delegation from Rhode Island. We have an opportunity to send for the first time the first Democratic woman to Congress from Rhode Island. We had only one woman in Congress, and it was a Republican, and it was in the 70s. So this is an opportunity for us to send a woman to Congress to represent Rhode Island, and also an opportunity to send a person of color, which also represents part of Rhode Island. It's part of the voices that are not represented right now in Congress.
So a few weeks ago, I had lunch with an individual who might have been considered a prime candidate for the congressional seat. And that individual said to me the reason that they weren't running is they did not see Congress as a place where you could really make a difference anymore, and cited 2 or 3 other people of equal qualifications who shared the same opinion. Do you see Congress as a place where you can actually make a difference, or because of the deadlock in Congress now and the agenda, certainly by the Republican Party, that you'll be able to make a difference?
Yes, we cannot lose faith in Congress, because once you go down that path, you're going to be losing faith in democracy. And I can tell you, as someone that didn't grow up in this country and is more in tune with what happened in other countries, especially in Latin America, when we are losing faith in our democracy and the democratic system, that's not good. Democracy is the best form of government that we could have. And once you start losing faith and hope in institutions like Congress, it just keeps growing and growing to the point in which people don't trust, don't believe in democracy at all. I know it can be frustrating, but we have to be ready to continue the fight. We have to be ready to what I call is build a bench. I know that for some people that have been in Congress, they're tired, they're exhausted with all the fights that are going on. But we have to make sure that we continue to build a bench, and we continue to send people to Congress that are going to be fighting for us, that are going to be prioritizing the things that we care about, and that have our values. If we have that attitude, what is going to happen? We're going to have the Republican Party continue to elect MAGA Republicans in taking our country to the stream. So I'm not ready to throw the towel. I'm ready and think that there's no hope for change. I'm not ready to do that. I think we have now more than ever, we need to fight back and make sure that we keep our democracy strong.
Sabina, we've hinted at it a couple times about your background, and people may hopefully know that you're our lieutenant governor. Let's start there. Maybe they know that you were part of Providence City Council. Just wondering if you could spend a couple minutes just giving us your background of who you are and why it's important.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I always say politicians, we think we are more popular than what we really are. Then
Yes.
we pay for a poll, and then we say, what?
Yes.
Yeah, but so for those of you that I have not met before, Sabina Matos, new immigrant to the United States, although I have lived here in Rhode Island almost 30 years. I only lived in Dominican Republic for 20. I have been in elected office for more than 12 years. I started first in the Providence City Council, where I was past president of the Providence City Council. I have been lieutenant governor for the past 2 years. Just got elected statewide last year. I was able to run a tough primary and also a general election, and I was able to win both. And I have been serving the people of Rhode Island. It has been the honor of my lifetime to serve the people of Rhode Island in this role as lieutenant governor. And I'm looking forward for your vote and your support so I can represent the people of Rhode Island in Washington and be a strong voice fighting for Rhode Island in Washington.
Let me follow that up a little bit. Employment and education before you became a politician?
Yes. So before being an elected office, I used to work at the nonprofit sector, work for several organizations. One of them was an initiative of the Annie E. Casey Foundation in Providence, and then work for another nonprofit organizations after that. Then I went to Rhode Island College. When I came to the country from Dominican Republic, I didn't know the language, so I couldn't go to college right away. While I was working in the factory, at the jewelry factory, I was learning English after work, and eventually went to school and graduated with a degree in communications from Rhode Island College, and I would say go Rick. So I love my experience at Rhode Island College. And I'm a mother. I have two children. My son just started URI. I can believe I have a son in college, and my daughter is 13, and I live in Providence with my husband.
I want to go back to maybe what first got you interested in serving the people of Providence on Providence City Council. What got you excited or passionate about serving others?
So when I was asked to run for office for city council at the beginning, I said no. It was I didn't feel confident and comfortable to speak English to a native speaker. Even though at that time I had already graduated college, I didn't feel confident enough to go door knocking to our native speakers and talk to them about my campaign. Also, at that time, I was a single mother, and that was one of the reasons also why I was hesitate a lot about my decision to run for office. But some friends talked to me, and what they told me is, you have been very active in your neighborhood. You're part of the neighborhood association. You're part of the organization that is building affordable housing. You definitely care about your neighborhood and your community. And they told me your neighbors need a new voice. They need a strong voice that's going to represent them. And that's why I ran for office the first time, because I wanted to make sure that my neighbor's voice was heard in the local government. So in my passion for housing, as I said, I was part of the board of Oniville Housing, and I can see by the work that the organization was doing how we can transform a neighborhood, how we can transform a community, and how we can work in collaboration with other organizations in the area to build community. Because you can build the housing, but if you're not providing other resources around those housing, then you're not going to build community. So, and that's why I ran for office, because I wanted to be able to represent my neighbors and be a strong voice for them, and also to support the work that the nonprofit organizations were doing in the neighborhood.
Sabina, in this campaign and probably a lot of others, something that seems to have gotten lost or is not discussed is campaign finance reform.
Yes.
We have pharmaceuticals remain expensive because more expensive than any place else in the world, because the pharmaceutical companies are making the contributions to the right politicians. The gun lobby is huge, with millions of dollars pouring into senators and House members, and even in various state governments or politicians. What do you think we can do to be able to reform that system, and should we?
Yeah. You are so right. Campaign reform is something that we need badly. I can tell you, the least favorite thing about running for office is asking people is fundraising, having to fundraise and ask people for money. In that, I can tell you that I don't think you're going to interview any candidates that are going to tell you, yes, my favorite thing is to fundraise, right? That is the worst part of running for office. I wish we could have campaign finance reform to make sure that we are all playing in the same playing field. There is not anyone having more advantage than other. Everybody have the same amount of resources, and we have the opportunity to bring our message to the voters. Unfortunately, that's not where we are right now. But I'm looking forward to the day in which that is a reality. And when I'm in Congress, I'm going to be fighting for campaign reform.
Have you ever tried to advance any concept or thought of campaign finance reform? I think look at our neighbors in Connecticut that have done a pretty good job of campaign finance reform on a legislative level, where much of the campaigns are actually being funded by public funds, and they are limited in what they can raise outside of that. Have you seen any effort in Rhode Island to be able to effectuate any of that?
In Rhode Island right now, I have not seen any effort for to effectuate the reform. I have to say in Rhode Island, when it comes to the Rhode Island campaign limits, we have some of the most restricted, believe it or not, compared to other states. Every time, and I can tell you from my own experience running for office last year for the statewide office. And whenever I was speaking with someone outside of Rhode Island and I was telling them about what are the limits, people were very surprised about the limits that we had and surprised about how tough our campaign laws are. So I think that in Rhode Island, there's always room for improvement, but compared with other states, I know there are states that have no limits at all. But so compared to others, we're not in such a bad shape. But when it comes to federal, I think we do need reform, especially at the federal level.
Some of the things I think we need sometimes is to break things down and tell people what it means, especially listening to all the rhetoric and misinformation last week. I think a good opportunity, and you're a candidate we could talk about it with, is endorsements. If people visit your website, which I'm running on the bottom right now, you could about a dozen or so different organizations, political action groups have come out and endorsed you. Just wondering what those mean to you, and if you can give us just what the everyday voter should know about how you went and got those endorsements.
Yeah, so I worked really hard to obtain those endorsements. So I met the first, I believe the first endorsement I got was from the BOLD PAC. The BOLD PAC is the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. I met with them and I told them about my campaign. I told them about the work that they interview actually several candidates from Rhode Island that were looking for their endorsement. Talk about my campaign, talk about my viability, which is very important for those groups, especially. They want to make sure once that you're a candidate that are going to do the work, that they're going to put their resources in their name behind your campaign, but you're going to do the work. They also want to make sure that you're someone that aligns with the things that they care about. So I was able to get the endorsement from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, also the endorsement from the then Women's PAC, which is the PAC of Congress, women's right now in Congress, the Women's Congress. They endorsed my campaign. I also have the endorsement of the Latino Victory Fund, which is a PAC that support Latino candidates running for office throughout the nation. I also have the support of labor. I got the endorsement from LIUNA, the building trades, and also have been getting endorsement of individual trades also. And also have the endorsement of the endorsement of the Latino Civic Fund. I mentioned that one already. Waiting on the rollout of other endorsement, like we announced already, Vote Mama, and also we're going to be, which is a PAC of women that are mother that wants to support other mothers running for office, as well as we're going to be announcing Higher Heights, which is the endorsement of an organization that support Black women running for office.
Excellent. And I think you got them all. I put you on the spot there to name, I think 11 of them I just counted. There could be more on the
I did.
website, but I think you got most of them. People
Yeah.
can read all about the endorsements at your website, sabinamatos.com, as well as we talked about fundraising. If you care to, you can also make a donation there. But more importantly, you can go there and like many of the candidates' websites, you can learn about, you can meet the candidate as well as learn about where they land on certain issues. Frank, did we miss anything? Do you have anything on your
Just one
agenda?
more question, and that's, are you supporting Joe Biden?
Of course, 100%. Yeah, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So, 100%. Yes.
Excellent. Sabina, is there any topic? I know we could talk for hours and days, especially about high-speed internet on Aquidneck Island, but is there anything we did not get to that you would like to get to?
No, I think we covered everything. Just a reminder that this is a critical time in our nation right now. We have to make sure that we have people in Congress that are going to be there, willing to do what is important for the people of Rhode Island, for the people of the United States, and people that are willing to go and fight for our democracy and make sure that we respect a woman's right to choose, that my daughter should not have less rights than I did. And we have to make sure that we fight for gun safety legislations that protect our children.
Excellent. The only question we did not get to, Frank, and it's our fun one here, is and it's especially fun because you're not originally from Rhode Island.
Oh, come on.
No,
You can't tell by the accent. It's a Cranston accent.
according to Rhode Islanders. What I would love to have fun is what percentage of population do politicians as well as candidates actually meet of Rhode Island? It's probably almost all of it. But what do you love about Rhode Island? What makes Rhode Island special? What are some of the things you like to do in Rhode Island?
Oh, so I'm a big Rhode Island fan, I can tell you. And I was just talking about this yesterday. I love about Rhode Island, as I mentioned earlier, just this weekend, how I could go from celebrating with the Italian culture, with the Portuguese, with the Nigerian. So the opportunity that we have, because we're small enough, right, that we get to exchange with different cultures and we're able to share that. I believe there is not other place that is better to be during the summer than Rhode Island. We're very fortunate. We have such a beautiful state, and we have to continue to promote our state and get people to visit us. And we have the best food of any place. You can think about any type of food, and you can find it here in Rhode Island.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate it. We'll have to have you back on soon to talk about all that's going on the lieutenant governor side of the world, but we'll save that for another conversation. We thank you very much. Frank, you good?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sabina,
thank you. Let me tell you,
so
I started my day with Newport, and I'm gonna finish my afternoon with Newport because I was first interviewed this morning in the Chamber of Commerce. Now I'm here with you guys.
Oh, look at that. Perfect.
Very good.
Well, thanks for spending some time with us, and don't forget about us when it gets cold and snowy.
The Newport Tuesday.
That's it.
Yes.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, Lieutenant Governor. We wish you the very best of luck. And for those wondering one more time, SabinaMatos.com. You can read everything about her campaign. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Frank.
All right. And that is Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos. We appreciate her taking the time out of her very busy day as running the state as Lieutenant Governor, as well as out on the campaign trail, as well as being a mom and all of the long list of responsibilities she has. So, all right there, Mr. Frank.
Good interview. And, just stay tuned for the rest and absorb it all and learn as much as you can about the candidates. And most of all, get out and vote. That's
it. And, we decided to do this format because we think, compared to a forum in 60-second, 30-second snippets of answering a question, if you watch these, and we know it's an investment, and we thank you for taking the time to watch these conversations. Hopefully you get to know a little bit more about the candidate than what you read in the paper or what you see on the TV news in 30-second clips, and really walk away with why they're passionate about some of the things, why they're running. You get to know a little bit more about them.
Interestingly, they had the forum in Barrington last night, friends who went, and one of their complaints was that there were too many people. 10 candidates were there. And then the limited time, you really didn't have enough time to learn enough about each candidate.
So if you have 30 minutes and you want to learn more about a candidate, keep going to them with an open mind. So far, we have 2 up. We'll have this one up as soon as I hit end broadcast here. And then we will have Stephanie Butte up on the website already. We have Aaron Regenberg coming up this week. We have Gabe Amo coming up this week. We have Superintendent Colleen Burns-Tremaine, who is not running for Congressional District 1.
But you can write her in.
You could, but as well as we have Walter Burbrick coming up soon. We have Stephen Casey, Sandra Cano, all the candidates that have,
and those who have not, they still have an opportunity to get a hold of us and see if we can schedule them in.
So compare, contrast, share with your neighbors, all available on whatsupnuke.com. Sign up for our newsletter, and we'll email you the videos as in audio and all of that good stuff, and as well as some other good information. All right, Mr. Prosnitz.
Thank you.
Go Red Sox.
Go Orioles.
All right. On behalf of Frank Prosnitz, as well as all of us here at What's Up Nuke, we want to thank Lieutenant Governor for taking the time with us today to talk about her campaign for Congress. If you missed any portion of this interview, want to watch it again, want to listen to it, want to share it, all available on whatsupnuke.com. Thanks for watching.